Hello and welcome back. It's Carla. And last week we talked about the 6 essential aspects of empathy model that I developed to help people understand empathy if their empathy is too intense and it's uncomfortable for them, and also to help people understand empathy if it's not really accessible for them. So this model, I expected this model to do a lot, and thank goodness I was able to find aspects of empathy within the research traditions of sociology, anthropology, social psychology, psychology, child development, to sort of gather the pieces that the different people were looking at, and to set it up in a kind of a step-by-step way so that you could understand empathy from the beginning to the hopefully successful end when you have achieved an empathic engagement with someone or something. The first aspect of empathy is called emotion contagion, and that is a strange name. Emotion contagion, it just sounds bad. But what it means, and this is from the research, what it means is that you have the capacity to identify an emotion. You could also call it emotion awareness, and to sort of bring it in and treat it as an important thing, so that you have that ability to pick up emotion. Now, there was a really wonderful research study done by Doris Bischoff-Kohler in Germany, and she worked with little children. And what she was looking for is, at what age does empathy arise? Does the sort of full-fledged empathy arise? And so what she did, and this was a very interesting experiment because many people were saying that empathy starts when kids are about 4 or 5. But what Doris and other researchers thought to themselves was, that's also when they can speak and understand, directions very clearly. So are we identifying empathy mistakenly because we are using verbal cues to help us see if children have empathy, right? So she developed some really interesting nonverbal experiments. And so in the experiment, the baby is, sitting across from an experimenter, and I'm the experimenter. The baby and I both have either a teddy bear or some delicious yogurt. And in the experiment, the babies are between 1 year and 2 years. So that's what she was looking at. Could we identify a time when empathy is arising in very young children? And so the experimenter and the baby are playing, and the experimenter's teddy bear or spoon was rigged to break. So, they're playing, and all of a sudden the leg comes off the teddy bear. And so, without using words so much, but with a lot of emotion, a lot of acting, the experimenter would be like, "Oh, my teddy, my teddy." They would say it in German, "Oh, mein Teddy," and just really kind of go over the top, that they are so devastated that their bear is broken. And so then the team looked at what the baby did next. And what was interesting to me was that if the child just caught the emotion, right, the emotion contagion went over and the child started crying, then Doris Bischoff-Kohler and her colleagues said, all right, this child is not empathic. This child is, they called the child like self-involved or self-centered, because the child caught the emotion, but then just sort of fell apart and couldn't be available for the researcher who needed some help. So what they were looking for is a child who could either, notice that the researcher was sad, pick up the emotion to a certain extent, but not to the place where they got completely overwhelmed, and then do something, like patting the researcher's arm, or giving the researcher his or her teddy, right? Here's one that's not broken, or trying to fix the teddy. In this study, these children were identified as empathic because they could do something. It wasn't just emotion contagion. It was they had other options and they had other reactions and they could manage their emotions. So what was interesting is that children develop this ability. Not everybody. So if you've got a child this age and your child is not doing this, don't worry, but at about 18 months. So before a child is really able to understand language, they understand emotion, and they understand what to do with emotion. They understand how to respond to emotion. So emotion contagion is where empathy starts. But as you may know, if you've been in a situation where you catch someone's emotion and you can't manage, if you just identify empathy as emotion contagion, you're going to put people into a lot of trouble, because there are further skills. Emotion contagion's first, but there's 5 other steps, 5 other aspects that you need to know and manage so that your empathy will be comfortable. It won't just be, piles of emotion coming at you. Now, there are many ways that emotion contagion can be delightful. And in fact, we pay people a lot of money if they're good at emotion contagion, and we have yearly festivals, numerous festivals, to give awards to people who are very good at emotion contagion. These well-paid people are actors, dancers, singers, literary writers, right? Fiction writers, or nonfiction writers. There's some really brilliant ones. And these awards, the Emmys, the Oscars, right? The BAFTAs, the Grammys, we give a lot of accolades to people who are very good at emotion, at sending their emotion in such a way that we can catch it and it's delightful. If you saw a singer who could not transmit emotion, that wouldn't be a very good singer. If you saw an actor who could not transmit emotion, that would not be a good actor. If you read a book, a fiction book, that did not transport you, did not engage you in any way, that's not a good book, right? We love emotion contagion. We are completely delighted by good emotion contagion. It's so fun for us. Drama, singing, dance, music, everything. We love it. But when people talk to me about emotion contagion, they say, "Ew, how can I stop feeling the emotions of others?" And usually what they're saying is, there's some emotions that I don't work with well because I was never taught how. And when it's in the room, like those babies, I fall apart, right? Like the babies who haven't yet developed full-fledged empathy, I fall apart. So as you think about emotion contagion, try to take the ooh factor off of it, right? And look at your favorite art, your favorite movies, your favorite television, your favorite books, your favorite singers, and see, do they transmit emotion in a way that is delightful for you, even if it's a painful emotion, right? Even if it's grief that they're feeling or rage that they're feeling. And then maybe start to think, well, what kinds of emotion contagion do I enjoy? Rather than thinking of emotions as these bugs, right? We love to transmit emotions to each other. It is a human necessity. It is a part of what it is to be alive. And so we can start looking at emotion contagion as a beautiful and brilliant thing that is the very first step of successful empathy. We'll talk more about the next 5 aspects in the next couple of weeks. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.